All right, what's up, YouTube family, Facebook family, or anyone who's listening from any social app? My name is Hakim Muhammad, back to doing another video. And this video is going to be on child support, pros and cons based on how I see it and the things that, I've been through, as well as, some things that I know as far as, you know, other people have been through. And before I get into that conversation, let me go ahead and say this, because this is some shit that, I usually don't do on my videos because I forget to do the shit, and then I don't think about it until after the video is over and it's too late then. But I'm trying to get my fucking views up, guys. So remember to hit that subscribe button. Remember to hit the bell for the notifications. That way, whenever I post new content, you guys will be the first ones to be able to view that content. You can let me know that, hey man, I like what you're doing. I like what you're saying, keep dropping that knowledge. Or you can be like, nigga, you need to shut your shit down because, the shit that you're talking about, we don't want to hear that shit. But whichever way, you guys want to do that, that's on you. But hit that fucking button, man. I need my viewership to go up. I need those subscribers to go up because I want my channel to be, different from a lot of other channels. My channel is basically dealing with health and wellness information, whether it's working out or dealing with, certain types of foods that you need to eat in order to stay healthy. My channel is basically dedicated to vegans, and it can also be helpful for people who are, non-vegans. But it's basically what my channel is dealing with. But in the description, I also talk about, that it's going to be dealing with, culture. And what I mean by culture, I'm talking about the culture of black people, present as well as, in the past. And I'm going to try to tie all of those things, together as far as, the content that I'm going to be delivering on that. So with no further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into, this conversation of child support. Oh, and one other thing. Yeah, this book right here, this has nothing to do with the conversation, but this is a book by Professor Griff. So I guess you can say, like, I'm giving him a plug, which the book has been out for a while. Trying to give him some, I guess some promotion, I guess you could say. But love this brother, man. Had the opportunity to meet him, a couple of times, and I've learned a lot from this brother, from looking at a lot of his videos, as well as listening to him talk in person. But the name of the book is called Analytics. Had this book for a while, and it's a pretty good read. I'm just really getting started on it, and hopefully it'll be just as entertaining as it has been from the start of it as well to the finish of it. So if you haven't gotten this book, make sure you pick up this book. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and get into what I'm going to be talking about. So like I said, this conversation is dealing with child support, the pros and the cons as far as how I see it. Now, how this conversation is coming about is by way of my son. I have twin boys, and one of them had to make a court appearance Monday of this week, which was yesterday. So I wasn't aware that he was going to court, but I soon found out. When he called me, he was pretty much like happy as hell. So I'm like, okay, what's the deal? So he was like, yo, I just came from child support court. And I'm like, okay, well, why the fuck are you so, goddamn happy, like you just won $1 million? So he was like, he said, Dad, he was like, yo, she thought she was gonna get all this goddamn money. He was like, she only getting $100 a month. So I was like, okay, so things worked out in your favor. Now, with me saying that, I don't want you guys to get this shit twisted, because $100 isn't shit. But the reason why I'm saying things worked out in his favor and I'm happy for him is because this chick wanted to use the system to try to fuck with my son, to try to crush my son. Right now, his relationship with his daughter is pretty much strained because of the way he's had to maneuver to keep himself out of jail, to keep from fucking her up, because she wants to use the system to cripple him, and she wants to use social media to try to make it seem like he's this fucked up individual that doesn't want to take care of his daughter. And right now, his daughter really doesn't understand what's going on, or maybe she does, I don't know. But my son is not a deadbeat dad, never has been. Love his daughter very, very much. Matter of fact, we just welcomed the new addition to his family, his baby girl Nyara, a couple of weeks ago. And he's not going to be a good dad to one and not be a good dad to the other one. It's just that, his oldest daughter and the relationship that he has with her and her mom is going to be a little more complicated because of, the baggage that comes with that. So this is how, this conversation about child support is coming about. It's because, I'm kind of going to focus on him a little bit, but then I'm going to also bring myself into the equation. So while we were talking on the phone, he's like, she tried to hit me, for child support, but she's not going to be getting a whole lot of money. Now, with that being said, like I said before, $100 isn't shit. That's like a fucking dollar, that you're trying to use to take care of a child. But if she wouldn't have done the shit that she did because she chose to go to damn court for child support, chances are she would have been better off. But this is the route that she chose to go, so that's what the fuck she's gonna get. She basically wanted to try to stop him from doing what he needed to do for his daughter, and hoping that if she put him in a state to where now, motherfucker, you gotta bow down to me because I got these motherfucking white folks in your ass now, that shit didn't work in her favor. So she basically took a L on that, and he's gonna be all right. He's still gonna do for his daughter because he's not taught, in a way to not do that. I didn't teach him that because I didn't walk away from my responsibility and I had to pay child support as well. I won't feeling that shit, and we're gonna get into that, later on in this conversation. But it was something that I had to do. Now, like I said, I feel like child support is a necessary evil, and the reason why I say that is because, there are a lot of men and women who do not want to take care of their children for whatever fucking reason. And I'm like this, I can't see any reason that you can think of as to why you wouldn't want to take care of your children, no matter if you were being forced to do it or not. That's your seed, man. That's something that you brought into this world that didn't ask to come into this world. So when you bring them into this world, that's your job. That's your duty to take care of them. Now, would you like to be able to take care of them the way that you would want to? Of course, everybody does. But in this day and time and dealing with this fucking system that we in, that shit is not going to happen, especially if you and the person that you with have a falling out to the point where you are some vindictive motherfuckers. You're some evil type people that want to use the system to cripple that individual, whether it is a man or a woman. So how all of this shit came about with him is from a goddamn cell phone that he bought. Now, mind you, she was already seeking child support, but this shit right here brought it to a head. So he purchased a cell phone for his daughter so that he can basically keep the mother out of the picture, meaning that anytime his daughter wanted to get in contact with him, she could do so. She wouldn't have to depend on her mom to, call or, any of those things. Whatever it was that she wanted or needed, she can call her father directly, have that conversation with him, and he could take care of it. Whether that was buying her something or coming to pick up so she could spend time with him. But what they didn't know was that he had an app installed on the phone so that he could monitor the phone. Just so happened, him and his wife was down one weekend, and they were at the house, and it's probably about 1 or 2 o'clock. He notices that the phone is being used, so he's like, yo, Dad, this is shit that I'm talking about. Someone was using the phone. Now we could say that it was his daughter, but chances are that's highly unlikely. And then if it was, we got to ask some questions as to, okay, who the fuck are you talking to at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning? What the fuck are y'all talking about? And why do you have the phone in the first place? Because no one should be trying to contact you anywhere at that time of the night. So the only other conclusion that we can come to is that her mom was using the phone. So he ended up taking the phone, and the mother spazzed out. She came to his house. He had all this shit on. He videoed all of this shit, and she spazzed the fuck out. Her and her boyfriend came over, causing all kind of fucking problems and shit. So, they ended up going back and forth to court. So he ended up suing for custody of his daughter, won custody. But because of a typographical error on his lawyer's part, he lost custody of his daughter. So custody went back to the mother. So then she picks up, the pace again as far as pushing the whole child support thing. And her goal was to use child support to cripple him. not because he was a deadbeat dad, but because she was pissed at him for whatever reason. Now, as far as their relationship goes, I don't know if he was at fault. I don't know if she was at fault. But this is what I do know. If the relationship doesn't work, then it doesn't work. You don't use the child to try to hurt someone. You don't put an individual in a situation to where they can't be a parent to their child. That's a bitch ass move, man. Whether it's on the part of a man or a woman, you don't do that. That's something that you don't do. Now, child support is necessary. It's a necessary evil. The reason why I say that it's necessary is because let's deal with it from the woman's point of view, because 9 times out of 10, it's the woman that has the children. She needs that money. Now, she could be a mother that is on some bullshit, or she can be a mother that is actually doing what she needs to do to take care of her children because she loves those children dearly. That's her life. So as men, you can't look at it and be like, okay, this is what you need to do with that money. Why? Because the child is not in your home. That money is not always going towards clothing. And a lot of us think that, okay, this is what it's supposed to be spent on. And that may not be the case. If that child is living in that individual's home, that money is going to go towards anything that they see that it needs to go to, whether it be clothing, food, rent, light bill, school supplies, whatever the case may be, after school activities, whatever the case may be. You don't have the right to monitor that fucking money. And you have to hope and trust that that individual is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now, if they're not, there are other routes that you can go to make sure that the money is, being used for what it's being used for. But you got to be able to prove that shit without a shadow of a doubt, which means you got to have some concrete evidence to back whatever accusations that you put forth. And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to get that shit shut down. Only way you can get that shit shut down is if you can prove that that woman is an unfit parent, or that man is an unfit parent, and they're not fit to do what they're supposed to do, or you just get custody of the child. But either way it goes, is damn near to impossible to try to reverse that shit, because you have to prove that parent is basically unfit, which means you got to have some shit that is beyond shadow of a doubt, man, in order to pull that shit off. But they need that money, man. They need that money to take care of your babies. Now, the con to that shit is this: if you got a parent, whether it's a man or a woman, that's fucked up, and let's just deal with the females for a second. She can spend that money on whatever the fuck she wants to. She can spend it on a dude. She can spend it on her hair. She can spend it on clothing. She can spend it on partying. She can basically spend it on whatever the fuck she wants to spend it on, and you can't do shit about it. Nothing. That's the con to that shit. That's the fucked up side of it. You can't do shit about it. You just have to take that fucking L. And it's the same thing on a man's end. If the woman is paying child support, you can't stop that man from spending that money on the lady that he may be seeing. You can't stop him from buying whatever the fuck he wants to buy or spending it the way he wants to spend it. He may even want to take goddamn trips using that money. Ain't shit you can do about it. Nothing. That's the fucked up side to it. Is that once you get trapped in that system, you're basically fucked. Now with me, how I got into the system was by way of another nigga not doing what the fuck he was supposed to be doing. Now the lady that I have my kids from, she was receiving AFDC. And I knew that when I met her because she had a previous child before me. So the guy that she was with, he wasn't doing his job. But I didn't know the particulars about AFDC. Hell, I didn't even know what the fuck it was. And it wasn't my concern, because why did I need to know about that shit? I'm not this dude. I'm not doing what the fuck he was doing. And at that particular time, we didn't have any kids together. But AFDC is Aid to Dependent Children. And this is given to, parents with minor children. So this is what she was receiving at the time. But what I didn't know was that when you have other kids in the home, in order for you to keep receiving those benefits, you have to put all of those kids on this particular program. I didn't know that. And that's how I got sucked into child support. And I still didn't know about child support until maybe 2 years later. And by this time, I'm $4,000 behind in child support and don't have a fucking clue. So how I found out about this shit, I come home from work one day. She tells me that, you need to go and talk to my caseworker and whatnot. And I'm like, what the fuck for? I don't have any dealings with these people. Although I had went to talk to them a couple of months prior, and they were trying to get me to, sign the paperwork for child support. And I had thought about doing it because, I was like, yo, okay, well, that's a pretty good idea. But then when I thought about it, I was like, man, I'm not signing that shit. Hell, my kids live with me in my fucking home. Me and the mother of my children, we live together under the same fucking roof. And so, I was like, nah, I'm not ready to do that shit, man. So now I'm thinking. So fast forward, it's like 2 months before my 18th birthday. So I guess I was considered a minor as far as the system is concerned, and them being able to force me to pay child support. Because that, like I said, 2 years they went by, and they didn't fuck with me. But when I came home from work that day and she was telling me I need to go and talk to these people, when I do go and talk to them, they would get ready to send out a they basically was ready to have me fucking arrested for failure to pay child support, even though I hadn't been to court for this shit, none of that. And that was probably like a scare tactic. So, I get out there, I'm talking to this chick, and we start having this conversation, and the conversation turns into a fucking argument to the point where, I'm ready to whip this bitch's ass. Excuse my language, but that's how I felt at that time. And she was talking to me like, I'm going to fuck this dude up. And so she goes and starts pulling out this paperwork. And, my fucking jaw dropped, man. It was like, the serial tricks for kids. It was like, man, I got some Houdini type shit. Because I'm like, what the fuck is all of this? She was like, look, your kids have been on AFDC for the past 2 years. And I'm like, first of all, I don't know what the fuck AFDC is, and I don't even know what you're talking about. So she was like, look, your kids are receiving assistance from the state. I'm like, lady, my kids live with me in my fucking house. We all live under the same roof. So I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? And that's when, she realized, this man doesn't know what the fuck is going on. He has no clue. He's clueless. And, she's basically, telling me, yo, you been fucked, dude. And that's basically what happened, man. Now, some of you are probably wondering, well, how in the fuck did y'all relationship work out? It didn't. We had problems. They weren't big problems, but they were problems. But for me, the nail in the coffin was this child support shit, because I wasn't a deadbeat dad, and I never have been. I've always been in my kids' life, always kept my kids. And when I found out about this shit, man, that if I've ever been hurt in my life, seriously hurt emotionally, that shit hurt me, to my core, to the point where my hurt went from being hurt to anger. And I was mad all the time. Our relationship had gotten to the point where, along with the other little minor things that was happening in our relationship, whether it was her or me, it escalated to the point where it got violent, more on my end. And it had me looking at myself like I couldn't recognize me, man. I ended up losing myself because I was mad all the time, because I'm like, I'm being fucked for no reason. I'm not a deadbeat dad. I love my children. But now I'm put in a position to where I can't take care of my babies because you got me in this shit. Now, she's pissed off of me. I'm pissed off of her to the point where I was so mad with this woman, I wanted her dead. And actually, I pulled a gun out on her ass one night. That's just how fucked up I was in the head. Now, how did I get past all this shit? I ended up meeting this brother who started teaching me about knowledge of self. And then it went from there to me meeting his brother, who was in the Nation of Islam, who took me further into the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then after that, I just started studying every damn thing I could get my hands on, whether it was stuff that was dealing with Kemet, the Hebrew Israelites, you name it, I studied it, business, all kind of shit. And that's what made me look at her differently, to the point where I let my anger go. But I did get out of the relationship. I had to, because, I was on my way to prison for 2 years, man. And when I walked out of the courtroom that day, I was like, yo, if I don't leave her the fuck alone, I'm gonna end up killing her ass, or she gonna end up killing me. And then where the fuck would that, will my kids be? So I walked away from the relationship, man. It took a lot of growing up, and I'm still growing. I'm still trying to better myself as a man and as a father. But, it fucked me up pretty good. But one thing that it did that was helpful as far as child support, it made me a beast as far as saving money. And like I said, when I started studying the things that I started studying, one of the things that I started studying was business. So that's when I started trying to be an entrepreneur. I got 2 business ventures that I'm trying to get up off the ground now. One is a movie production company, which this right here is going to be part of it. And where I'm going to be, I write screenplays. I've already written 2. One I'm trying to produce on my own, and a clothing line that I'm trying to get up off the ground, with a partner of mine, which I just mentioned, that partner, which was the brother that's in the Nation of Islam. And it just made me look at things from a financial point of view totally different, to the point where I was like, okay, you got to build, man. You got to build your paper, because this shit is about money. So I had to stay strong. But one of the most important things that I had to do, I had to keep running. It was like I was a fucking slave. So I knew, or I felt how our people felt when they was running from the slave catchers. Because my thing was, I had to fucking work to keep my ass out of jail. If I missed the payment, they coming to lock my ass up. So not only was I working to try to, 1, have a life for myself, 2, take care of my children, but 3, I was working to keep myself out of fucking shackles. And that's another con to this shit. You're not just working for your babies. You're working to keep yourself out of jail. And then they've advanced this shit even more, to the point where they can take your fucking driver's license. They got all kind of shit that they can do to your ass behind this child support shit. And my thing was, I'm not getting ready to get locked up. How the fuck you gonna lock me up for something that I'm already doing, that I was doing before you bitches even came into the fucking picture? And a lot of men and women have to deal with this shit, where you have these vindictive ass people that want to use the system, not because the individual is a deadbeat parent, but because that's the only way that they can hurt you. And the system knows this shit, but they're not gonna do any damn thing about it, because you're a part of the system. The only thing that they see is that, nigga, you gotta pay us this fucking money back. And that's basically what I was doing. I was paying back all the shit that she got from the goddamn state. That's basically what child support is. You paying back the money that they get from the state, not unless, it has nothing to do with the state. But that's basically what you're doing. And, this was how the shit was for me. So what I ended up doing was, when my sons grew up, man, I taught my sons and my daughters. I was like, look, this is the shit that you do. In order for you to fight these people when they come at you like that, you got to use the same system that wants to trample on you. You got to use that same system in order to win your damn battles. And that's what my son did. He came out victorious. He came out on top. Now, some of you may say, well, how the fuck is he victorious if he has to pay child support? Well, he's only paying $100. $100 isn't shit. He still has money to take care of his family that's with him, as well as his daughter that is not with him right now. So he's good. He's like, yo, I can do that, Pop. And I can still take care of my daughter, and she still doesn't have no fucking control. So in that sense, he basically won. With me, it didn't work out like that with me. I paid my child support, but it just got to the point, man, where I was tired of fighting. So what I did was, I stopped fighting, man. I was tired of that shit. And on top of that, I didn't want to put my kids through that. They had seen enough of the bullshit between myself and their mom, and how we realized that what we did was on some bullshit. was when we went to our kids' graduation ceremony, and we're looking at our sons walk across that stage, and we sitting there beside each other, and we looked at each other, and we were like, "Yo, we fucked up, man." For whatever good or bad that we brought to the relationship, we fucked it up, and we knew that. And when I came into knowledge of self, I stopped blaming her for what I thought she did. Now that doesn't mean that she didn't do some bullshit, because she did. What she did was on some fuck shit. But I understood the system a little better, and then I understood her situation. She was trying to survive. Now, could she have gotten a job? Yeah, she could. I even brought this shit to her attention. But during that particular time, she was like, our kids are young, man. I don't want to put my kids in a daycare, and and they not be in my life. And I understood that. So I went along with the shit, man. But when I started studying the system and saw how it was set up, when you get on that shit, you can't have a man in the home. The man cannot be there. What happens is, and it's going back to slavery, the white man steps in, push your motherfucking ass out the way, and he basically fucking your woman. He's fucking her by giving her payment. He's fucking her by sliding you out the goddamn picture and making her feel like she don't need a fucking man, or she don't need your black ass. Or when we look at child support, it ain't even about black men. This is just men in general. They don't need you, whether you're black, white, brown, yellow, purple, because it's the system. Now, that system is ran by white folks, but white folks also get caught up in that system as well. But she basically doesn't need you. So, that's my take on this shit, man. I wish I had more time to go in deeper detail, but I'm not going to bore you guys anymore with this shit. But, that's basically my take on child support. So until the next time, take care. Peace.